بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Last week we spoke on the first of the 8 steps towards happiness and leading, maintaining and enhancing a happy life as a Muslim of the author Sheikh Abdurrahman ibn Nasir Sa'di. May Allah have mercy upon his soul. We mentioned that the first reason was simple and basic, easy, pragmatic. Everyone can get it, can obtain it. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. As the Prophet ﷺ said, لَقَدْ سَأَلْتَ عَنْ عَظِيمٍ. Something really big you asked about. Really great, really powerful. وَإِنَّهُ لَيَسِيرٌ عَلَى مَنْ يَسَّرَهُ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى عَلَيْهِ. But at the same time, it's easy and simple upon whom Allah Azza wa Jal makes it easy and simple. And that right there is extremely dynamic. Just the thought of that. Something that's extremely heavy, at the same time it's very light. Something that's very costly, high end, but at the same time it's relatively affordable. Something that's so far away, distant, but at the same time it's very close. That's the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, making the servant Mubarak, giving him the barakah, guiding him to the thing that so many people have been misled from. Something that's so plain and so obvious, but at the same time so cloudy, so hard to see and to grasp. So be grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the first reason behind getting happiness, maintaining happiness, enhancing one's happiness is al-imanu wal-amal. Faith and action. Belief and deed. That's it. What you look like, how many legs you have, how many fingers you have, how noble your blood is, how ignoble your blood is. All of those things that we get caught up on and busy ourselves with have nothing to do with iman and amal. Being exclusive in the club versus a person who's been guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the one who believes in Allah with the correct belief, as we explained, and the one whose deeds manifest his belief is the friend of Allah, he's the wali of Allah. There is no lineage, no bloodline. Only people that come from this family are the awliya of Allah. People that go to this mosque are the awliya of Allah. People that associate themselves with this teacher, they're the awliya of Allah. People that come from this race, they're the awliya of Allah, chosen by God, etc., etc., etc. None of these things exist in the Quran and Sunnah. And it's only based off of what's in your heart and what's upon your limbs. And that is the first step and the most important step to being happy. Is that when a person has the correct iman and they do righteous deeds, Allah will make them happy. Allah will keep them happy, and Allah will bless them with more happiness. And that happiness will spill and overflow to one's wife, to one's husband, to one's children, to one's business, to one's grandchildren, to your house, and the list goes on. And the lack of happiness that was not given to you by Allah will also overflow and spill to the other aspects of your life as well. Marital problems, business, money. My children don't want to be righteous. They don't want to learn the Quran. They don't want to do the right thing. My money, and the list goes on of problems, stress, and worry. So that was the first step that the author mentioned. The first step that he mentioned with regards to the effects of faith and the effects of good deeds. He says here, moving forward, we'll go on to the next chapter, the next step. He says, فصل ومن أسباب دفع القلق الناشئ عن توتر الأعصاب واشتغال القلب ببعض المكدرات الاشتغال بعمل من الأعمال أو بعلم من العلوم النافعة فإنها تلهي القلب عن اشتغاله بذلك الأمر الذي أقلقه وربما نسي بسبب ذلك الأسباب التي أوجبت له الهم والغم وفرحت نفسه وازداد نشاطه وهذا السبب أيضا مشترك بين المؤمن وغيره ولكن المؤمن يمتاز بإيمانه وإخلاصه واحتسابه في اشتغاله بذلك العلم الذي يتعلمه أو يعلمه ويعمل الخير الذي يعمله إن كان عبادة فهو عبادة وإن كان شغلا دنيويا أو عادة دنيوية أصبحها النية الصالحة وقصد الاستعانة بذلك على طاعة الله، فلذلك أثره الفعال في دفع الهم والغموم والأحزان. فكم من إنسان ابتلي بالقلق وملازمة الأكدار فحلت به الأمراض المتنوعة، فصار دواءه الناجح نسيان السبب الذي كدره وأقلقه واشتغاله بعمل من مهماته. وينبغي أن يكون الشغل الذي يشتغل فيه مما تأنس به النفس وتشتاقه، فإن هذا أدعى لحصول هذا المقصود النافع، والله أعلم. Says on page 25, step 2, occupying oneself with activity or useful knowledge. To occupy oneself with an activity and or useful knowledge. Among the means of warding off anxieties and the preoccupation of the heart with sorrow is to occupy oneself with one activity or another, or with some useful knowledge. This is because doing it will distract the heart away from being immersed in its anxieties. It may even help him forget the things that cause him grief and worry, and he may even experience some happiness and become cheerful. This is also something that is common between both the believer and the non-believer. So the second step is having a hobby, having a trade, having a vocation, having something that you like to do, artwork, cooking food, designing clothes, whatever that thing may be. Whatever that thing may be. And he says this is not exclusive to the believer. The first step, the first sabab was exclusive to the believer. Al-imanu wal-amalu salih. And among non-Muslims, there are people who believe. There are Taoists and Buddhists and Hindus and Christians and Jews and other worshippers. They have faith. But as we explained, قَيَّدْنَا وَاشْتَرَطْنَا الْإِيمَانَ الصَّحِيحِ, the correct iman. Not the iman in these prophets, but we don't accept that prophet. Iman in these messengers, but not this messenger. Iman that we have to worship God Almighty and love Him with our hearts, but that doesn't have anything to do with our secular lifestyles. That's on Sunday or Saturday, or even worse than that, on Jumu'ah. It's not a religious issue, brother. This is a political issue. This is not a religious issue, akhi. This is a cultural issue. How I make my money, how I dress, how I eat, etc. has nothing to do with Islam. Islam is in my heart. It's not the correct iman. Okay? So there are people who do have faith that are Muslims, and there are Muslims who have iman, but it's not correct. So the correct iman and amal salih, righteous deeds, we said that's exclusive to the believer. And that type of happiness, that level of happiness is going to be exclusive to him or her. Number 2 is a bit different. There are other reasons behind getting and obtaining happiness that are not exclusive to the believer. And from that, he mentioned, is being busy with an activity, a hobby, a trade, a vocation. So believer and non-believer, they share that. But the fork in the road comes, and that is the believer has an extra edge, has an advantage, has a cheat sheet, has something that the non-believer can never ever get by devoting him or herself to a trade or vocation. And that is, I've perfected my craft, I've mastered my art, my chosen profession, and I use that to help me with the first reason. السبب الأول الذي هو الإيمان والعمل. الاستعانة بهذا الشغل وإتقانه يصير الإنسان حاذقا فيه يستعين به على مرضات الله عز وجل. For a person to realize that this trade or this vocation, this talent, this skill is a means of me getting closer to Allah. By me perfecting the art that I stay busy with. I'm recreating the energy, and it translates back to my ibadah. So it's not just a hobby or a trade or a vocation. And this is extremely important in 2020 when we talk about the gym culture, and we talk about sports, and we talk about getting a degree from school. Nothing that you do of worldly success is to just remain worldly success. Something has to be put back into the religious spiritual system. When you understand this, you go to the gym, it makes you feel good, it keeps you away from stress, from worry, it keeps me off of the streets, it keeps me. But at the same time, this working out helps me become a better Muslim. And it can never ever just be a hobby, 100%. A trade, 100%. This is my degree, I'm a professional, 100%. Muslim can't say that. Muslim doctor, a Muslim chef, a Muslim businessman. He can't just say it's 101% worldly and that's it. There has to be some type of recreation through that recreation. Everyone understand this? And that is the extra level that the believer has. So if you think about being idle, being void, we talk about the inner city, whether it's Brooklyn or Queens or Philadelphia, wherever you are, Baltimore, the inner city, the problems in the inner city with the youth. What's the first thing that people do when they want to clean up the neighborhood? They want to keep the youth off of the streets, out of gangs, drugs, and sex before marriage, so on and so on and so on and so forth. What do they do with them? They make for them what? Activities. Whether it's basketball, or whether it's this type of program, or this type of corps, or this type of summer camp, or this type of summer job. And they understand the importance of void versus being busy. You have to keep someone busy, engaged in something. And oftentimes people, they fall into crime or drugs or alcohol or things like this because they have nothing else better to do. They have nothing else better to do. So just the sheer fact of staying busy with the deen and or the dunya. But for you to be 17 years old, not doing anything with your life, just hanging around, having fun, laughing and joking, video games, basketball court, it's a disaster waiting to happen. So from the things which keep you away from stress and away from problems and away from anxiety and away from being miserable and feeling unhappy is remaining busy with some type of activity or some type of knowledge. That could be reading a book. A person becomes an avid reader. They read novels and it keeps them away from stress. A person plays a sport that keeps them away from anxiety. A person cooks and you taste the food as if you taste the soul in the food. That's why I call it soul food. There's a reason behind this. Because the person, he did what? Put their heart into it. If your wife is angry with you, the food doesn't what? Doesn't taste the same. Same ingredients, but it's not the same. So the concept of a person mastering something, and to you is just a dish, but to this brother, this sister, no, this plate, this meal was what? This is wahakida. All right. So whatever that activity may be, with the condition bishart and yakuna mubahan, it got to be a permissible activity. Can't be something that's haram. It has to be something that's what? Permissible. It can't be a haram activity. And there are many haram activities for you to do. Just like there are many haram professions for you to have, which may allow you to make money. And it may keep you away from other things. It may take the anxiety and the stress and worry away from you, but in itself is harming you because it's disobedience to Allah, the Mighty and the Most High. So he says that the believer has something which is extra. It says in the translation, he says this is also something that is common between the both believer and the non-believer. But the believer is different because when he occupies himself with the knowledge that he is seeking or giving, or with the good action he is doing, whether it be an act of worship or a worldly act where his intention is to seek strength in worshiping Allah, when he does that, he does it out of his belief in Allah, sincerity, and seeking the pleasure of Allah. This in itself has the additional effect of warding off grief, worries, and anxieties. We have seen, alright, so he's saying here, knowledge or action. I don't go to overseas to Medina. I want to study engineering. That's what? Totally fine. But you're studying engineering, or you're teaching math or algebra or whatever you're teaching for the purpose of two things. Number one is to help you seek strength upon Allah's worship. What happens when I get this degree? I can work. I can get married, take care of my wife and children. I can make hajj, I make umrah, I give sadaqah, I donate to the masjid, I contribute to dawah, and it keeps me from falling into haram things, begging, illegal things, and the list goes on. And it also keeps me focused. I have a purpose. Every day I wake up. I'm not just home sleeping on the sofa. I actually have responsibilities. People are counting on me at work. They're counting on me at this school. My father paid this tuition, so I have to go and study. Well, how can that? But it's not just specifically to the dunya, as we said. Or it could be a religious thing. Seeking knowledge makes me feel good. It gives me a purpose. It gives me worth. It gives me value. Teaching knowledge makes me feel good. Helping people out, answering people's questions, being there for them. The satisfaction and the gratitude when someone says, Jazakallah khairan, I watched your video, I learned something, I never knew that. Whatever that thing may be. Or it could be something worldly. It could be something worldly. It has an effect upon keeping you from grief, from sorrow, and from anxiety. He says here, rahimahullah ta'ala, Sa'di, rahimahullah, he says, وينبغي أن يكون الشغل طيب ومما يدفع به الهم والقلق اجتماع الفكر كله على الاهتمام بعمل اليوم الحاضر وقطعه عن الاهتمام في الوقت المستقبل وعن الحزن على الوقت الماضي ولهذا استعاذ النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من الهم والحزن. It says, among the things that ward off worry and anxiety is to concern oneself with the affairs of the present and not to be anxious about the future nor grieve over the past. This is why the Prophet ﷺ sought refuge in Allah from anxiety and grief. Anxiety and grief. What's going to happen tomorrow in my marriage? I'm going to be divorced. Is my wife still going to like me? Am I going to get old? Or what are my children going to be like? How are they going to grow up? What's going to happen to my masjid, the Muslims, etc., etc., etc. Or, oh man, that was messed up when I had a miscarriage, or I got divorced, or my ex-husband abused me, or my ex-wife cheated on me, or we had this war, or I migrated from this country, and of the past. And the person is stuck and they're gridlocked between misery and misery. Through anxiety, fear of the future, or grief, which is suffering of the traumatic past. And we explained this last week and the week before as well. And if you sit down and think about yourself and the many times in which you feel depressed, or you feel sad, or you feel worried, or whatever you're going through, in most cases you can attach it to one of these two reasons. Afraid of the future, still suffering from the wounds and the scars of the what? Of the past. And very seldom, alaikum salam to Allah, does a person live in the present. Alhamdulillah for right now. That's what's important. I'm happy right now. That's what's important. Are you understanding this? And of course, the author is not saying that you don't reflect on the past. And he's not saying that you don't strategize about the future and plan for the future. But there is a percentage, there's a pie chart. If you have 100% or 360 degrees, whatever percentage you're using, the majority of the percentage has to be on the what? The present. And he gave a piece or slice on thinking about the past and a piece or slice on thinking about the future. But it's not the same as 60, 30, and 10. 60% future, 40%, 30% past, 10% present. Think about the present. Live in the present. Enjoy the present moment. Stop worrying and stop being afraid and stop feeling the pain and the agony of what someone did to you or what you did to yourself. This is extremely useful with regards to getting off of a substance abuse. And one of the hardest and most difficult things is a person coming to realize and bear into the fact that, dang, I'm strung out on this drug. I'm strung out on alcohol. All these years I've been smoking drugs. How did it happen to me? I came from a good family. I was this, I was that. I was a such and such. I did this. I wasn't supposed to be that victim. I wasn't supposed to be that statistic. And that is one of the tricks, and it keeps a person stuck in the abuse and in the addiction. Because they're thinking about what? The past. The stupid, dumb, foolish mistakes that I made. All of these years I allowed myself to stay on this drug. So they can't get off of it. Or the future. How are people going to look at me? They're never going to respect me. They'll never look at me the same. They'll never accept me. They'll never forgive me. They'll always hold it over my head. Wherever I go to say, oh, that's Philan who used to be a drug addict. Oh, that's such and such, my son who used to drink alcohol. That's such and such who used to be a such and such. So they're afraid of the future. They're scared. And it causes them to lose energy and strength, which is the most important thing that they need to fight it in the what? The present moment. And that's why all of this is summed up in the statement, one day what? At a time. One day at a time. That's what they say. And you underestimate that, or you think it's just an idiom or a cliche, but it's a very important statement. One day at a time. How long can I stay sober? How long can I stay away from it? I know I'm going to fall into it. I know. That's fine. Just think about today. And then those days start what? Popping up. And weeks turn into months into years. You get more confidence. And most importantly, the help of Allah comes. So, Allah takhafu wa la tahzanu. La khawfun alayhim wa lahum yahzanun. It's a consistent Quranic theme. Allah, He talks about the people of paradise. No fears, i.e. لما يستقبلونه من أمور الآخرة. ولا تحزنوا على ما يتركونهم من الأهالي والأولاد إلى آخره. The children and the wife that's behind, Don't worry about them. And hereafter, you're going to go to hell. Is Allah going to punish you? Jannah? Don't what? Don't worry about that. The angels descend upon you. Be happy. Abshiru. So living in the present. Focusing on the now. And not the yesterday and not the tomorrow. He says, and this is the reason why the Messenger of Allah ﷺ sought Allah's protection from al-ham wal-hazan. From stress and anxiety and from sadness. And now hadith is in Sahih Bukhari and others. Tayyib. Moving forward. The next section, the author says, rahimahullah ta'ala, فَالْحَزَنُ أو الْحُزْنُ على الأمور الماضية التي لا يمكن ردها ولا استدراكها والهم الذي يحدث بسبب الخوف من المستقبل فيكون العبد ابن يومه يجمع جده واجتهاده في إصلاح يومه ووقته الحاضر فإن جمع القلب على ذلك يوجب تكمين الأعمال ويتسلى به العبد عن الهم والحزن والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دعا بدعاء أو أرشد أمته إلى دعاء فهو يحث على الاستعانة بالله والطمع في فضله على الجد والاجتهاد في التحقق لحصول ما يدعو لحصوله والتخلي عما كان يدعو لدفعه لأن الدعاء مقارن للعمل فالعبد يجتهد فيما ينفعه في الدين والدنيا ويسأل ربه نجاح مقصده ويستعين به على ذلك. He says, so therefore, sadness for the past, grief or anxiety for the future, etc., is something that you can't get back. You can't turn back the hands of time. You can't go back 5 years, 2 years, next week. You can't. In other words, it's foolishness. You're worrying about something that's now what? It's out of your hands. It's gone. So you might as well try to fix it now. Something you can't go back. Khalas. And you have to submit to the qadr. It was meant to be. Using the qadr as an excuse for future sins? No. Using the qadr for an excuse for present sins? What? No. Using the qadr for the past? What? No question about that. It was meant to be. Khalas. Move forward. That's how Allah decreed it. Now fix it. Do the right thing now. Just stop and think about that. And how the shaitan gets you to fall victim to misunderstanding the qadr. Present is not the past. You can't go back. You can't fix it. So you might as well move forward. You make a bad play in basketball, football, right? The players, they don't get mad. They don't curse. The coach, he keeps his calm and his composure, and he keeps the quarterback in the game. It's a new set of downs now. Don't worry about that last interception. Khalas, get that out of your head. Shake it off and move forward because you can't take it back. You made a poor decision. Or the defensive back, what? He made a really good play, and it was a good pass. Or he dropped the pass. What's important is we can agree that there's no point in you what? Stressing, because it's out of your hands. He then says here, so therefore, the servant, listen to this ibarah, he says, فَيَكُونُ الْعَبْدُ إِبْنَ إِيش يَوْمِهِ Ibn yawmihi, be a son of your day. Be the son of your day, meaning live in the what? Live in the present. And this helps you focus and concentrate and perfect your action. Work on what you're working on and don't worry about anything before or after. Listen here, he says, whenever the Prophet ﷺ made a dua or he told his ummah to make a dua, then it's not just a dua. That's it. Something just to say. But in actuality, he's encouraging his followers to act and to work. Dua and actions go hand in hand. So you ask Allah, oh Allah, allow me to get married. Oh Allah, give me a good husband, give me a good wife. It is now your job to physically what? Strive for that. Oh Allah, forgive me of my sins. It's not just a statement that's said with the tongue. But now you have to physically go after the reasons behind Allah forgiving you. Regretting it, doing the right deeds, giving the sadaqah, staying away from the act or the place where you fell into that act. So dua, he says, muqarinun lil amal. They go hand in hand. This is extremely important. Don't think that dua is just theory. You just pray, and that's it. It's more than that. Ibn Sa'di rahimahullah ta'ala, he then says here, the believers should seek Allah's help وَالطَّمَعِ فِي فَضْلِهِ, and they should be greedy to get Allah's mercy and Allah's bounty. They should want Allah to give them more to help them out, and working hard and doing whatever they have to do in accordance to what they prayed for, in accordance to what you asked Allah for. Going to the Islamic University of Medina, Allah allow me to get in. Now you gotta go and apply. Now you gotta learn Arabic. Now. And you can't just pray without doing anything physical. From that which benefits him in this life and in the hereafter. كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم احرص على ما ينفعك واستعن بالله ولا تعجز فإن أصابك شيء فلا تقل لو أني فعلت كذا كان كذا وكذا ولكن قل قدر الله وما شاء فعله فإن لو تفتح عمل الشيطان. فجمع صلى الله عليه وسلم بين الأمر بالحرص على الأمور النافعة في كل حال والاستعانة بالله وعدم الانقياد للعجز الذي هو الكسل الضار وبين الاستسلام للأمور الماضية النافذة ومشاهدة قضاء الله وقدره. Just like the Prophet ﷺ said, احرص على ما ينفعك. He said the following words: work hard upon that which benefits you. Be diligent, hustle, sweat, work hard. But not just work hard, but work hard upon that which helps you out. He then says, وَلَا تَعْجَزْ. Don't make yourself weak. Don't be a quitter. Don't be a naysayer. Don't be pessimistic. Don't be lazy and lethargic. Don't drag your feet going into the deed. Dragging your feet. Oh, I'll try it out. Inshallah. Let's give it a shot. Oh, let's see. Maybe it'll work out. Go into it with, bi'idhnillah, it's what? It's going to work. Inshallah ta'ala. Bismillah, let me try my best. Versus you dragging your feet. Oh, let's see. Don't go into it saying, let's see. Go into it, bi'idhnillah, inshallah, it's going to work. And I'm going to try everything that I have in my skills and my power to make it work. And if it doesn't work, then that's a different story. If it doesn't work. But you never go into a thing with half. You go into it with all of it, or don't do it at all. He says, the Prophet ﷺ says, work hard upon that which helps you. Wasta'in billah, and seek Allah's assistance. Wala ta'jaz. Don't make yourself weak. And if something happens to you, if something befalls you, then don't say, I should have did it like this. I should have did it like that. Lo anni fa'altu kada lakana kada wa kada. I should have. I shouldn't have. But say, qadarullahi wa ma sha'a fa'ala. It's what Allah had decreed. It's what Allah wanted to happen, and that's exactly what happened. Why? The Prophet ﷺ says, فَإِنَّ لَوْ تَفْتَحُ عَمَلَ الشَّيْطَانِ. When you start saying if, it opens up the gateway for the devil. If, maybe I shouldn't, maybe, and then everything crashes on you. Everything falls apart. For the Prophet ﷺ in this hadith, he gave us two things. Working hard for that which is a benefit and seeking Allah's help. So submitting to the decree, looking at it, accepting it, versus not knowing what's decreed until you actually attempt to do it. وَجَعَلَ الْأُمُورَ قِسْمَيْنِ قِسْمًا يُمْكِنُ الْعَبْدُ السَّعْيُ فِي تَحْصِيلِهِ أو تحصيل ما يمكن منه أو دفعه أو تخفيفه فهذا يبدي فيه العبد مجهوده ويستعين بمعبوده. And the Prophet made actions, deeds in two categories in this hadith. Two categories. Category number one is that which you have a hand on, that which you can actually touch, that which you can manipulate, that which you can do, that which you have the ability to do, and that is by trying your best, striving, giving it your all. He says, وَقِسْمًا لَا يُمْكِنُ فِيهِ ذَلِكَ فهذا يطمئن له العبد ويرضى ويسلم ولا ريب أن مراعاة هذا الأصل سبب للسرور وزوال الهم والغم. And the second category is that which you have no hand in. It's out of your reach. It's up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Once it's not meant for you, it's not decreed for you, it isn't written for you, submit. Give up. It's done. It's in the past. And of course this is going to be subjective. Being tenacious versus being stubborn. Being obstinate versus trying hard. There comes a point in time in which khalas. But you don't know until you have actually given it your all and you've strived. So I want everybody, before we move forward, please think about yourself. Do you work hard? Do you give it your all? Do you go into the situation with optimism or with pessimism? Do you submit to it? Do you accept the fact that it wasn't meant to be? Or you keep kicking yourself and beating yourself and sucking your teeth. Oh man, what was I thinking? How was I so foolish? I can't believe I married such and such. Huh? You get divorced. Your ex-husband, your ex-wife said, what was I thinking? It was what? It's meant to be. Khalas. And there's good that came out of it, inshallah ta'ala, but it was meant to be. And you have to submit, you have to accept it. Versus you continually beating yourself up and questioning why you did it. It's done, it's gone, it's over. So if you think about the stress and the depression that you have or anxiety, oftentimes it's going to be found in what? One of these two reasons. Not working hard for the present and the future. Worrying about what happened and took place in the what? In the past. Not seeking Allah's help even though you work hard. Or seeking Allah's help and not what? Working hard. Goes hand in hand. Everyone understand this? And living in the what? The present. Ibnu Yawmihi. Living in the present, not living and being stuck in the past. And not being caught up with regards to things that you have no knowledge of in the what? In the future. There's so many different ways we can take this. Our masjids, our homes, so many different ways. Enjoy what you have now. Huh? Reflect on the future. Reflect on the past. But live in the current state. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. We'll do the third step or the third reason bid'nillahi ta'ala in the next class. Inshallah, let's see if we have some time to take some